Dear students, today we are going to start design of flywheel, which is the part of 4th unit. Now already you have studied flywheel and its analysis in theory of machines, but still again we are going to cover this topic in a different aspect, where we will be studying the stresses involved in the flywheel, and accordingly the dimensions of the flywheel must be decided. Hence, this angle or perception is very much important as far as flywheel is concerned. Now, you know that flywheel is widely used in many applications where there is a fluctuation of torque. So flywheel acts as a reservoir, so it stores energy in the form of kinetic energy and supplies it to the driven machinery as and when it is required. So it is a heavy rotating body which acts as a reservoir. Now, as far as flywheel is concerned, there are two distinct applications for flywheel. One where the output shaft is requiring variable torque, whereas the input shaft provides uniform torque. A very common example in this category is the punching press, where the motor provides uniform torque as input, but the punching press requires variable torque during the cycle of punching press. The second category of the flywheel application is the application where the input power is received as in a variable torque, whereas we need to drive the machinery with uniform angular velocity. So in this category we can consider the internal combustion engine, the cars, the trucks, the mopeds, where engine is going to provide the power in the form of variable torque, but machine has to be driven with the uniform angular velocity. Hence, there are two distinct applications for the flywheel. Now, as far as function of the flywheel is concerned, there are three functions that has to be performed by the flywheel. The very first function is to store and release the energy as and when it is needed during the work cycle. Second, very important function is to reduce the power capacity of the electric motor. By use of flywheel, we can reduce the required capacity of motor, thereby reduce the cost of the machine system. And the third is to reduce amplitude of speed fluctuation. Construction of flywheel. The next topic of our discussion is the construction of flywheel. Now you know that there are two different types of flywheels. One where the solid disc type of flywheel is used. So this figure is going to show you the solid disc type of flywheel, which is having a uniform thickness and throughout from the center to the end, and this type of disc is called as solid disc type of flywheel. The second category is the armed flywheel. This figure you can see where the flywheel consists of arms, rim, hub. Okay, so this is very commonly used type of flywheel in many of the applications. Now, as far as arm flywheel is concerned, there are two types of construction methods of arm flywheel. one is solid one piece flywheel. Now this figure is going to show you the solid one piece flywheel, where the flywheel is formed out of a single casting piece from cast iron. But this has a limited to the size of the flywheel. Now when the size of the flywheel increases, this type of construction cannot be used, because in large flywheels stresses are induced in the form in the arms during the casting process. There is heavy concentration of mass at the rim. This rim will consist of heavy concentration of mass. There is heavy concentration of mass in hub also, and due to this, when we see the arm, rim and hub, the cooling rate for all these three is not same, and as a result the stresses are induced in the form of cooling stresses, and this may result in breakage of the flywheel. So it becomes important to reduce such cooling stresses, and to avoid such cooling stresses, this third category, that is the split flywheel construction, is used. So in this case we can see that the flywheel is split in two parts, and separately two parts are casted, and they are joined by means of joining processes, either by means of bolts or other methods, but two pieces are separately manufactured in order to avoid cooling stresses in large size of arm flywheels. Next topic of our discussion is the flywheel material. The very commonly used material for flywheel is cast iron, as it is very cheap. First, secondly, it is can be give any complex shape without involving machining operation, and the very good ability of cast iron is to damp vibration. So these three advantages are there which leads cast iron in construction of flywheel, whereas the disadvantages of cast iron are it have poor tensile strength compared to the steel. Secondly, the failure of cast iron flywheel will be sudden and total. It will not fall down in gradual manner, like it will generate some crack first, and then the crack will propagate more, and then it will fall down after some period of time. So this does not happen with the cast iron, and this is one of the major disadvantage of cast iron. The next disadvantage of cast iron is its poor machinability, and this poor machinability again restricts industries to use cast iron as flywheel material. So second category of the material under flywheel is steel. So some composite steels are used to manufacture flywheel, as it have a very good tensile strength, and though it is costly, in some of the application we can find that the flywheels are made of steels. Third category of the material is graphite fiber reinforced polymer. So this material is also considered in various applications, As far as choice is concerned, this is excellent choice, but it is costly. But wherever cost is affordable, this material is used for construction of flywheel. In modern cars also, this flywheel is found very good application. The table is going to show the density of material for various types of cast irons and steels. Now we can see that the various grades of the grey cast iron and its densities, and carbon steel have the density of 7800 kg per meter cube, whereas the grey cast iron have the lower density. It ranges from 7150 to 7250 kg per meter cube. These values will be helpful in future when we will solve the numerical on this topic. The next topic of discussion is torque analysis with flywheel. Now we know that the flywheel is used as a reservoir to store energy. Let's say TO is the output torque and TI is the input torque. So if I is the moment of inertia of flywheel and omega is the angular velocity of the flywheel, the difference of the input and output torque will be balanced by the torque generated by the flywheel. Hence we can say that at equilibrium I into alpha, that is I into d omega by dt, will be equal to difference of input and output torque. So when driving torque is more than the load, the term TO minus TI minus TO will be positive, and when the load is more than the driving torque, then the term TI minus TO will be negative. This we can understand with one example. Here this T theta diagram is shown, where Tm is the median torque provided by the system, where Ti is the input torque and To is the maximum output torque. Now during the cycle from A to B, we can see that the input torque is smaller than the torque provided by the mean torque provided by the flywheel, and hence during this period of time flywheel will accelerate, the speed of the flywheel will increase. Now when it turns to the similar is the case when during the cycle CD, where the input torque is T1 but the mean torque provided by the flywheel is Tm, which is greater than the input torque, and hence in this cycle also the speed of flywheel will increase, it will accelerate. But during the cycle period BC, the amount of maximum torque required is T2 and the torque provided by the system is smaller than the torque required. So during the cycle period BC, the flywheel will decelerate. So in this way we can say that during cycle AB, during the period of the cycle AB and CD, flywheel will accelerate, whereas during this period of cycle BC, flywheel will decelerate. In the same figure we can see that this is the angular velocity of the shaft, where we can see that the shaft speed is going to accelerate during the cycle AB, whereas it is going to decelerate while BC, and again it is going to accelerate during CD. The coefficient of fluctuation of speed can be computed through the previous discussion. Now, from the previous discussion, during the cycle AB and CD, energy is supplied to the flywheel. Hence, we can say that the energy supplied to the flywheel UI is the integration of mean torque minus input torque integrating from A to B during the cycle AB, and this is the difference during cycle CD. As the mean torque is greater than the input torque, this is the positive term, and this will contribute in increasing the speed of flywheel. So we can say that this is the energy which is supplied to the flywheel. Now, during the cycle BC, energy is consumed by the system, and this energy consumed by the system will be taken from flywheel. So energy taken from the flywheel can be computed as integration from B to C of T2 minus Tm, where T2 is the output torque required during the cycle BC and Tm is the mean torque provided by the flywheel. So during this period there is change in kinetic energy of the flywheel. So change in kinetic energy, total kinetic energy is from maximum speed to minimum speed. So that can be computed as half I omega max square minus omega mean square. So this half I omega max square is the maximum energy of the flywheel, whereas half I omega minimum is the square is the minimum energy of the flywheel, where omega max is the maximum velocity attained by the flywheel and omega mean is the minimum velocity which is recorded during the cycle BC. So the difference of this is the change in kinetic energy. So this equation can therefore expanded as half I omega max plus omega mean into omega max minus omega mean. So this difference between the maximum and minimum speed can be called as maximum fluctuation of speed. So omega max minus omega mean can be called as maximum fluctuation of speed, whereas the maximum coefficient of maximum fluctuation of speed can be defined as the ratio of maximum fluctuation of speed to the mean speed. Now omega max minus omega mean is the maximum fluctuation of speed, whereas omega m is the mean speed of, or omega is the mean speed of flywheel. So the coefficient of fluctuation of CS can also be equal to, if speed is recorded in RPM, then n max minus n mean upon n, that is also equal to 2 into n max minus n mean upon n max plus n mean, as n is equal to n max. N is the average velocity, and it can be computed as n max plus n mean by 2. The table below this provides the coefficient of fluctuations of speed for various applications. Now these applications we can see for punching, shearing, forming presses, the fluctuation of speed is 0.2. For compressor, the fluctuation of speed is highest and it is 0.120. For compressor, when it is driven by gear, when it is in previous case it was driven by belt, but when it is driven by gear, the fluctuation of speed is low and it is measured up to 0.020. Machine tools, in machining tools the fluctuation of speed is again very low, it is 0.020. For ANSI we can have the fluctuation of speed for various applications. So whenever it is needed to solve problems for this application, we can use these values of fluctuation of speed as a general value, generalized prediction to compute this size of flywheel. This next part is the fluctuation of energy. Now, as there is fluctuation of speed, definitely there will be the fluctuation of energy, and which is nothing but the kinetic energy. Already we had discussed the change in kinetic energy of the flywheel, that is U naught. The coefficient of fluctuation of energy is defined as the ratio of maximum fluctuation of energy to the work done per cycle. So it is denoted by CE. The coefficient of fluctuation of energy is nothing but the ratio of maximum fluctuation of energy to the work done per cycle. Now for application like for any application, we can find out the work done per cycle as area under the mean torque line from 0 to 360 degree of the cycle. Whereas for two-stroke engine, the work done is nothing but equal to 2 pi into Tm, where Tm is the mean torque provided by the system, and for four-stroke engine 4m into Tm will be the work done per cycle, as it is going to cover a cycle in 2 revolution. It is 4 pi into Tm for 4-stroke engine. The values of the coefficient of fluctuation of energy are again shown for various applications. Now here we can see that single cylinder double acting steam engine have the coefficient of fluctuation of energy as 0.021. The cross compound steam engine have the lesser value of fluctuation of energy. The highest value of fluctuation of energy is recorded for single cylinder 4-stroke petrol engine, and it is 1.93, which is very high as far as energy fluctuation is considered. Now when the same petrol engine is 4-cylinder, then the fluctuation of energy is reduced to a large extent, and it is the average value is measured as 0.066. The for 6 cylinders engine, again the fluctuation of energy is reduced to 0.031. Now it becomes very important to find the stresses in flywheel. So let us consider first the solid disc flywheel. Now for solid disc flywheel, the moment of inertia I for a disc having mass m and r as the radius can be computed as I equal to mr square by 2. Now in this case, if r is the radius and t is the thickness, then and rho is the density of the material, then mass of the disc can be computed as pi r square into t, which is nothing but the volume of the disc into the density of the material. Now putting this value in the previous equation, we can find the moment of inertia I is equal to pi by 2 rho t r raised to power 4. So we can see that the I is a function of density of material, thickness of disc, and r is the radius. If we fix the thickness and material for flywheel, then we can see that I increases with the fourth power of the radius. Now, as far as stresses are concerned, there are two types of stresses developed due to: one, tangential force exerted on the flywheel during motion to resist the motion of the flywheel, and second is the radial force due to the mass, due to the centrifugal force exerted on the mass from the center of rotation. So these two forces are going to develop the stresses which are nothing but tangential stress sigma T and radial stress sigma R. Now Timoshenko have developed the formula to compute the radial and tangential stress in a solid disc flywheel. The formulas are shown here. For sigma T, the formula is given to us, and for sigma R, that is the radial stress, is also the formula is given to us, in which this rho is the density of material, V is the peripheral velocity of the disc, mu is the Poisson's ratio of the material, and capital R is the maximum radius of the disc. Now this formula is going to find the amount of tangential stress at radius R. So as R will vary, the value, the amount of tangential stress will vary. Similarly, for this formula also compute the radial stress at radius small r. Now this value can vary from 0 to capital R. Also we can see that as the flywheel is made of cast iron or steel, the Poisson's ratio for steel and cast iron are 0.3 and 0.25 respectively. The peripheral velocity is measured in meter per second, and it can be computed as r into omega, where omega is the angular velocity of flywheel. Now in the above equation we can see that when the radius small r becomes equal to capital R, when the small r becomes capital R, this value of sigma T becomes 0, and even value of sigma R also becomes 0. So we can say that at radius capital R, the tangential stress and the radial stress is 0, whereas when R becomes 0, the maximum tangential stress or the maximum radial stress is equal to rho v square into mu plus 3 by 8 divided by 10 raised to power 6. So for both the stresses, that is sigma R and sigma T, the maximum stress developed is at radius R equal to 0. So we can say that the amount of stress developed is increasing from center to is decreasing from center to the peripheral radius of flywheel.